Hello students, today we are going to cover up the Assam Tribune analysis for 11th of August 2020, and as you know we have been uploading the videos on a daily basis, which is definitely going to help you for both prelims as well as mains of the upcoming civil service examinations. Today we will be discussing a lot of important topics from current affairs perspective, and we are really thankful for so many messages that you have been giving us in the WhatsApp, and we are grateful for the support and the love that you are showing it to us. You know that under CSAP we have many free initiatives that we have been bringing it up to you. Apart from that, we also have many subscribed courses wherein we have the complete GS coverage for both prelims, mains. We have test series, answer writing, systematic revision plan, and one-to-one mentoring. And you know that this entire course, this entire package for the Independence Day offer, we are offering it to you at just 5,999, and this offer is valid till 31st of August. So do grab this opportunity, those who want to build up a very strong foundation with all the GS, where we cover all the important NCRTs and all important standard books. For example, if you want to check our demo classes for GS, do download our CSAP app from the Play Store and select the Civil Services APSC UPSC exam course, and under that course do check in our Indian polity lectures. The first few lectures are available for everyone for free of cost in the form of a demo lectures. So do check our Indian polity lectures, which are being uploaded on a daily basis, and there are as of now 8 lectures available where we have covered all the important chapters in a systematic and in a serial manner from the book of Laxmikant. And under this course we'll be covering the entire Indian polity and Laxmikant from prelims and mains perspective, which will also help many of the students who are thinking to take political science as an optional subject. And we are also coming up with optional classes, ethics classes, and along with the CSET classes within this month. So if you have any doubt, do reach to us on our Facebook page, or you can also WhatsApp in the given number. We will be happy to help you with any of your queries. So let's move ahead with the 11th of August Assam Tribune analysis. So the contents that we have are in front of you in this slide. So we'll be also covering up 2 important editorials from the 11th of August Assam Tribune newspaper. And this is the first important news about the port proposal, which you can relate with the GS3 economic development. And you can see that India is considering investing rupees 10,000 crores for building a transshipment port at Great Nicobar Island. And our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he inaugurated the first undersea optical fiber project to provide high-speed internet to Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So dear students, now this news may not directly come in your exam, but you have a lot of importance. Now you know that the Indian Ocean region is very geostrategically very strategic position for India. You know the aggressiveness of the Chinese One China policy and One Belt One Road initiative, and also the string of pearls of theory of China. And China is trying to develop major ports circling India with the concept of string of pearls theory. And China has developed major ports not only in Sri Lanka, the Hambantota port, In Bangladesh, the Chittagong port. In Myanmar, in Pakistan, the Gwadar port. And they have even gone to African countries like Kenya. And very recently, in order to counter the India's initiative of Chabahar port in Iran, China is also coming up with their own port in Iran, and along with they've also taken up an island nation from Iran. So now with this information, we'll come out with a different lecture for you, but this news is having so much of importance because you know that Andaman and Nicobar Islands are very, very strategically important for India. It is situated in the middle of the Bay of Bengal, wherein it is covering a major sea lane of communication from the Gulf nations or from the African nations via the Malacca Strait to the South China Sea, which is going till East China Sea to Japan, China, and all the eastern countries. Now, if India is having a strong position in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, India will definitely have a strong voice and a strong interference in the future lane of communications in the Indian Ocean region. And you know India is also working on developing connectivity with all the rim nations of Indian Ocean. And this fiber optic project, which is undersea, will be very, very crucial and vital for India to maintain a strong connectivity with the Andaman and Nicobar Islands from the mainland India. Developing this port at the Great Nicobar Islands also makes us realize the importance about the Great Nicobar Island, which can be a very, very important question from the mapping perspective. So all these things will be definitely covering in great details in our geography mapping classes, wherein we'll see all the important questions or expected questions that might come from the mapping from this region. And you know that there are many questions which are coming from the mapping in the UPSC, and mapping questions are very favorite for UPSC and even APSC, since it is following UPSC from the next attempt. Definitely will be asking a few questions on map based from the geography syllabus. So definitely please go back and watch out the Great Nicobar Island and do observe the important latitudes, important islands, if any volcano is there, and also do see the important islands from north to south. You might also be asked to arrange the important island nations, islands of Andaman and Nicobar from north to south order or from south to north order. You also have a very important, the southernmost point on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and I want you to answer the southernmost point of India in the comment section. So this is the first news. Definitely a port development will be also a counter to the string of pearls theory, and you know that India right now is working with another perspective of necklace of diamond to counter the string of pearls theory of Chinese aggression in the Indian Ocean region. So all these things we normally cover in our international relation classes. So this is just a small news, and I told you that how to relate this news with so many aspects with GS2 of IR. Even this will promote the security, which is also a part of your GS3 syllabus. And this is how you should relate a particular news with different aspects or different parts of the syllabus of each and every paper from GS1 to GS5. So moving ahead with the next news, that is the cabinet has given a nod to upgrade Bajali as a district. Alright, now you know that when there were creation of new districts in Assam, APSC also asked the simple question that this district has been carved out from which of the following districts. Alright, so from that perspective, you need to know that first of all, how many districts are there in Assam? There are 33 districts in Assam. Majuli has also been created as a new district recently, and Majuli is one of the first island district of India. You also know that Majuli is also a carbon neutral district. So it's very important for you to know all the important facts, right? All the important facts. If there is any particular news like this,
And you know that Bhojali is a subdivision currently, but under which district? And this is again for you. Please comment on the comment section. Bhojali as of now is under which district? Alright, so there are also other important decisions that the cabinet gave, the agreements, and they have decided to enhance the honorarium of 161 honorary librarians. Alright, so but again this is not very important news. Then you can go through this important news of basic few like state cattle and buffalo breeding policy 2020 has been also approved by the cabinet. A decision has been also taken for implementation of Uberization scheme of ASTC. Now see this point that I'm telling you about the Uberization scheme of ASTC. Now why, now how, where and how you can use this type of facts? Can you tell me? Now see, when we talk about air pollution, when we talk about sustainable urbanization, now you know urbanization is a topic of GS1. In Indian society also urbanization can come as a question. Now we know that we all are a victim of haphazard and unsustainable urbanization. Now when we talk about proper urbanization, we also give the importance and emphasize more upon what? Upon mass rapid transport systems. For example, Delhi Metro. Okay. For example, the city buses of Bangalore. So, in order to sustainably develop or urbanize a particular city, it is very important to have a very efficient system of public transport setup. Without an efficient setup of public transport, that city will never be able to grow in a sustainable manner, and you will be always having a lot of traffic along with a lot of air pollution. So Uberization scheme of ASTC can definitely develop a strong public transport system, and which will help Assam to develop its planned and sustainable mode of urbanization. So this is how you can use this type of news, alright, in any answers in mains, wherever you find it relevant to write. Then Assam Street Vendors Protection of Livelihood and Regulation of Street Vending Scheme 2020 has also been approved by the cabinet. Now this is also again a scheme that has been taken to promote inclusive growth. This will definitely foster your inclusive growth. Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas in true sense, along with financial inclusion, and this will also empower the small street vendors, and that will also help them improve in their income, which will also ultimately boost up the positive cycle of economy. Now this is how you relate with different parts of the syllabus, because you know if there is inclusive growth, if there is growth in the income, then your savings will increase, and if savings are increasing, it will lead to more and more demand, and in order to meet the needs of this demand, the economy or the mode of production has also to improve, and for that we need more and more investment, and if there more and more investment is done, then only we'll be able to increase the supply to meet the new demands, and this will boost up in creating of new job opportunities and also help the state to increase its state's GDP. So this is how you relate with different news and parts of the syllabus. The cabinet has also approved certain creation of two companies of SDRF, again something that you can relate with disaster management and its mitigation, and it seeks, and this is also some details about the street vendors scheme, because it is trying to organize them, and a decision was also taken for issuing notification of increase in time limits for the returns forms assessments under the Assam Act. It is always very important to bring your economy into the organized sector, because once you organize your economy, because you know that in not only in Assam but in entire India, the majority of the economy is run by the unorganized sector. Now when our economy is run by the unorganized sector, the revenue for the state is always less, or it is not getting, the state is never getting the desired revenue. And when it is not getting the desired revenue, it is the state's economy condition is always in a pathetic condition, because we have a lot of fiscal deficit. We have a lot of current account deficit. So when we organize our economy, the state's revenue increases, and those extra revenue can be again further utilized for empowering and creating welfare for all the sections of the people of the society, as per our directive principles of state policy and as per the principles enshrined in the constitution under article 38 and 39 of Indian constitution. So this is how you relate. Please do not see this news in a very isolated manner. Please do relate this news with all different parts, and if you are able to create these interlinkages, you will be able to write a very beautiful multi-dimensional answer for any type of question that has been asked in the mains, and you'll definitely get 1 or 2 marks extra in every answer from as compared to the other candidates. Moving ahead with the next important news, that is top US officials visit to Taipei sparks China's protest. Now you know that China has been following a one China policy. It is a very aggressive policy under the Chinese policy. And apart from that, you also know that China is now believing in its paw policy. It considers Tibet as its paw, and its paw, that this Tibet is having 5 fingers. One finger is the Ladakh, the second one is Nepal, the third one is Sikkim, the fourth one is Bhutan, and the fifth one is Arunachal Pradesh. And China believes that all these 5 fingers are a part of China. Now, when this, and this is how even China also believes that Taiwan is a part of it, Hong Kong is a part of it, and you know that there has been massive protest even in Hong Kong. And looking at the Chinese aggressive policies at South China Sea, where it is trying to develop artificial islands, it is breaking the violation, it is doing the violations against the UN clause, United Nations Convention Law of the Seas, where it is trying to interfere in the economic exclusive zones of many other countries like Vietnam, like Indonesia, like Philippines, and it is coming in conflict with all its major surrounding nations, even with Japan. And this is where you know that this is the biggest law between the relationship of US and China. And at this time, US top level minister visiting Taiwan means that US is considering Taiwan to be an autonomous country, and it is not considering to be a part of one China policy. And this is why China gets offended and it tries to intrude into Taiwan's air force or airspace by sending Chinese Air Force. Alright, so this is what even the news is all about. And Azhar, okay, the highest ranking cabinet member of, visits Taiwan since the US switched diplomatic recognition to Beijing from Taipei in 1979, kicked off his 3-day visit by meeting Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen. So very important for you to know who is the Taiwan's president. In APSA prelims, you can even expect a question that who is the president of Taiwan. And China, which considers the entranced island of Taiwan as part of its mainland under its one China policy, vociferously objects to any high-level foreign dignitaries meeting Taiwanese leaders. So this is very common. China will never want any high-level officers from different country coming and meeting Taiwanese leaders in an isolated manner without involving China. So Azhar's visit comes amid an all-time low in, so this is, as I said, this is the all-time low in US-China relations. And this is again putting a setback for Beijing, that is China, because which asserts that one China policy constitutes the core of its foreign policy with all the countries which establish diplomatic relations with it. And now US minister getting involved with Taiwan leaders is something going out of the one China policy. Alright, so this is what this news is trying to discuss about. Nothing much in the news, but again, in order to have a proper concept development for international relations, you can join our international relation classes, or maybe in future we'll be also bringing up with IR classes. So you can see this news. Alright, so there is nothing much more important from exam perspective. The next important news that we have is the six Gulf nations for extending UN arms embargo on Iran. Now, what is this basically this news is all about? Now, this news is really very important from your IR perspective. In international relations, you know that GCC is a very important regional grouping, and UPSC has also asked a very simple question: who are the member nations? And you know, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all these nations are the member countries of GCC. There are 6 member countries, and what they want right now is this, because you know that Saudi Arabia is dominating this GCC, right? And Saudi Arabia is a Sunni majority country, and there is a major conflict between Shia versus Sunnis in the Islamic world. And you know that Iran is a Shia majority country. Iran is ruled by Shia majorite, and Iran and Saudi Arabia are having a clash. Iran is being backed by Russia along with China on one hand, and Saudi Arabia is being backed by Israel in the region and also by USA. So you can see this, that there is a major conflict going on between Saudi Arabia backed by all these 5 nations, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, UAE, along with the support of Israel and USA, and on the other hand, Russia, China and Iran as a one group. And you know that after the Iran nuclear deal, which was done with the P5+1 nations. Now see, these are all the background informations of this particular news. Now what is this UN arms embargo on Iran? Now embargo means ban. So this Gulf countries wants that this ban on Iran should be extended. Now why this ban should be extended? Now all these things have a great connection with your Iran nuclear deal. Now as per Iran nuclear deal, you know that P5+1 nations. Now what is this P5+1 nations? In fact, you might also be getting a question in prelims: who are the member nations of P5? Now you know United Nations Security Council is having 5 permanent members, for which India is also trying to become a member of the permanent membership. So out of them you have US, Russia, China, UK and France, and P5+1 one is the Germany. Alright, please do not forget that. उनके साथ ईरान का न्यूक्लियर डील साइन हुआ था 2015, लेकिन that was signed during the time period of presidentship tenure of Obama. But now, after Donald Trump came, he doesn't feel that having this nuclear deal with Iran is a secured thing for US or for other countries like Saudi Arabia or Israel in the region. And USA has come out of this agreement. And the same nations, those who are supporting US, also wants that this ban should be continuing, because you know that GCC is coming to an end after 2 months, and they have alleged Iran that they had not ceased or desisted from armed interventions in neighboring countries. तो ये लोग बोल रहे कि ईरान ने सीज फायर नहीं किया है और आर्म्ड इंटरवेंशंस उन्होंने स्टॉप नहीं किया है, एंड दे इवन बिलीव दैट जो अभी आपका लेबनान में, आपको पता होगा अभी रिसेंटली बैरूत में एक एक्सप्लोजन होके गया था, एंड बैरूत में लेबनान में एक हिजबुल्लाह नाम का एक एक्सट्रीमिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. इवन इन सऊदी अरेबिया का नीचे इफ यू सी, ऑलराइट, इफ सऊदी अरेबिया, अगर ये सऊदी अरेबिया है तो इसके नीचे आपको पता है 2 नेशंस है, वन इज यमन एंड वन इज ओमान, एंड देयर इज अ हाउडी रिबेलियंस इन यमन कंट्री. Okay, and these are continuously interfering in Saudi Arabia, and they are bringing a lot of terrorist activities there, and it is believed that Iran is supporting these Houthi rebellions in order to counter Saudi Arabia. And the same thing, if you see, Israel is here, उसके ऊपर Lebanon and Syria is there, and Lebanon में जो ये Hezbollah forces है, and it is believed that Iran is supporting them in order to create problem in the Israel region, which is again backed by the other grouping, that is US, Israel and Saudi Arabia. So a Saudi-led coalition continues to battle. ये आप देख सकते हो कि यमन का हाउटी रिबल्स अभी भी वो लोग बैटल कर रहे हैं, whom the UN and US and armament experts have accused of receiving arms from Iran. So this is the actual politics going on in the Middle East or the West Asia region. But Tehran is the capital of Iran. They are denying that arming the Houthis, even as Iranian armaments and components have repeatedly turned up in Yemen. Okay, Tehran is denying this and later also said Iran arms Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon. All right. So UN restrictions, इसलिए ये लोग चाहते हैं कि उनका जो बैन है ईरान का आर्म्स के ऊपर, so that should be continuing. All right. And once the GCC ये ब्रेकडाउन होने के बाद, GCC का ब्रेकडाउन होने के बाद, now what is the future and how it will impact upon India? So that is what you should know, because any international relations activities that are happening anywhere around the globe, what is the relation with India and what is the impact upon India? That is what can be definitely asked in the exam, in the mains under GS paper 2 of international relations. And in fact, even in prelims you might get some questions on this particular facts, and mapping based questions, again this region, since it is in news, definitely you can get some map based questions. We will be very soon starting in our subscribed courses with the map based questions. In 10 lectures we'll be covering up all the map based questions along with economic mapping and political mapping along with physical mapping also, which is very, very important for the students when they are preparing for the exam. Now, what is the impact on India and what is the way forward for India when the GCC is coming to an end? So you need to know that along with when India and Iran is having a very good relationship, you know that India is having the third largest import from Iran. We are having a very strong relationship with Iran, and Iran is also very, very important for India's perspective. Well, why do I say this? Because you know, when we talk about Iran, alright, when we talk about Iran is also giving us access to Afghanistan, which is a landlocked country. Now we have, from Afghanistan we have this Pakistan, and then this is India. Alright, now Afghanistan is a landlocked country, and this is Iran. Now we are developing a port, that is your Chabahar port in Iran, and we had also planned to develop a railway line connecting Chabahar port directly to Afghanistan, and we have developed a quadrilateral highway from Jarans to Delaram. Quadrilateral highway infrastructure we have developed in Afghanistan along with their parliament. India is also trying to get this access of through Chabahar port in order to counter the Gwadar port that is being developed in Pakistan region, in the region of CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, developed by China through the region of Pakistan occupied Kashmir in India. India has also given counter to this, but more importance in this Chabahar port that India is considering is that our north-south transit corridor, through which India wants to get connected directly to Russia and even to the European and Central Asian region countries like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, which is very, very rich in natural gas. And you know that we had also developed a TAPI pipeline, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, for natural gas, but which could not be implemented because of Pakistan's interference. And that is why Iran is very, very important for us. It is geostrategically very, very important for India. But at the time when we are having a very close tie-up with USA as of now, and USA wants us to break USA has asked us to stop our relationship with Iran. Now at this crucial dilemma when India is having whether to go ahead with Iran or to USA, we need to learn a lesson in the diplomacy from Iran itself, because you know that when Iran is having good relationship with us, India, they are also having a very good relationship with China, because this railway network that I was talking about to you, has been now the discussion going on that it will be now handed over to China. So when Iran is maintaining a good relationship with India and China at the same time, India should also maintain a strong relationship with US and at the same time with Iran, but not at the cost of damaging our relationship with other important nations like Saudi Arabia, all right, or which is again going against Iran, or maybe with other oil exporting countries like Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, or UAE. Because you know the Gulf nations are very important for us when we have to develop our strategic oil reserves, and India should also now try to diversify our network and relationship with these nations and not only the oil relationship. You know that the Gulf countries are also having a good number of Indian diaspora, that is the Indian residents going for work in the Gulf nations. So we should also focus on the Indian diaspora, we should focus on our remittances, we should also focus on now in other sectors like pharmaceutical industry, health, tourism. We should also focus on scaling the population of these nations, and we should try to develop a strong network with all the Gulf nations and not try to compromise our relationship with other nations in order to have a strong relationship with Iran only. So it's time that we also see the opportunities as other major countries like China is also trying to develop very strong relationship with all the countries which are encircling India. So you can give a reading of this news and you understood the important dimensions from the international relations perspective, and इससे ज़्यादा details हम आपके साथ IR classes में cover करेंगे. The next important news that we have today is government may partner industry bodies for GEM expansion. Now what is GEM? You can see that it is a government e-marketplace. The government is looking at partnering. Now this is again a news of GS3 for economic development. Alright. And the government is looking at partnering with industry bodies for getting wider participation on public procurement platform. Sources in the Commerce Ministry said the talks on wider participation of industry chambers have taken place with the Confederation of Indian Industry and other associations would also be roped in so that a large number of suppliers are brought onto the platform, particularly from the MSME sector. It is expected a partnership growth with industry bodies would not only bring their membership to GEM but also help in getting across the word on government procurement to a larger audience. Now this is very important. I don't know whether you have understood the importance of this news or how you will relate it. I will tell you if you have not understood that point. What is this GEM expansion? This is a government e-marketplace. Now this is again related with your science and technology syllabus, because this is something related with the technology. The moment you get the E word, the internet. Now we are moving towards the fourth industrial revolution, which is talking about Internet of Things. Are you getting it? One moment you think about Internet of Things, wherein you see that a question can come on fourth industrial revolution, which is basically doing with Internet of Things, and this is also part of Internet of Things. Now through this fourth industrial revolution, government is trying to bring forward the connectivity between it is trying to bridge the connectivity between the manufacturers and the market. The government को बहुत सारे चीजें का जरूरत होता है, right? It procures a lot of things. Now, so for example, PSUs are requiring a lot of things. Now, you know that now we need to develop the MSME sector, which is very important. You know that MSME is considered to be the backbone of India's economy. It is contributing 45% of the export out of the total manufacturing. It is contributing a major amount of employment opportunities. It is fostering inclusive growth in India. It is even contributing a major portion to the GDP growth of our country. Now, when MSME is having such a major importance in our country, and you know that this sector is a labor-intensive sector, it is not a capital-intensive sector. Now, when I tell you that it is a labor-intensive sector, it means
that it can actually create a lot of employment opportunities which India had missed in the last 3 decades and which was actually absorbed by China. Because China invested more and more in the labor intensive sector, but India invested more and more on the capital intensive sector, and that is why we still even have a huge amount of unemployment problem. And not only unemployment problem, India is continuously losing jobs. Even when we throw up Make in India, you can see that India is losing a lot of jobs. Why? Because of very strict labor laws. Now those are different things. We won't bring those things here. But now when we are focusing on these MSMEs, now when these products will be ready, we need a market, and that is what government is bringing up, this e-marketplace, to bridge the gap between the supplier or the producers and the market. All right, so this will help to again run the positive cycle of economy, along with fostering inclusive growth and boosting up the economy in the form of investments, job opportunities, export, along with current account deficit coming down, because when we export more, our forex reserves increase, and this is ultimately win-win situation from all perspective. And this is how you relate with all the other different dimensions of the syllabus. GEM is a short form of one stop government e-marketplace hosted by Commerce Ministry. So बहुत important है कि GEM कौन सा मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर आएगा. डायरेक्टली आपका प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है. This will be done under the Commerce Ministry, where common user goods and services can be procured. GEM is dynamic, self-sustaining and user-friendly portal by procurement by government officers. Public procurement forms a very important part of government activity, and reform in public procurement is one of the top priorities of the present government. Alright, so I hope you have understood this news, which is again very, very important. Coming to again a very important news that talks about the government looks at blending biogas with natural gas. Alright, now what is this news? There is a bid to cut reliance on fuel imports. Very, very important again. Because you know that dependence on more and more on the import of fuel is always increasing our current account deficit, which is also making us have not a very good balance of payment. So at the time, and not only from this perspective, not only from economic perspective, if we think from environment perspective also, when we are talking about mitigation of climate change, when we are talking about Paris climate, when we are talking about meeting the targets of intended nationally determined contributions under Paris Climate Agreement of 2015, when we are talking of meeting the goals of Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, when we are talking about promoting of International Solar Alliance, where India is leading, taking the lead, and we have the headquarters at Gurugram, at that time, and when India is having a target of having 165 gigawatts from renewable energy sources, it is time that we focus on cutting down our oil imports and focus more and more on alternative fuels. And we had a World Biofuel Day, right? And you can see that Oil Secretary Tarun Kapoor, he said the gas distribution sector is expanding fast, and some percentage has to come from bio sources also. They cannot be completely dependent on LNG or domestic gas. That scope is anyway limited. So it is obviously a welcome step wherein we are promoting the biogas, and you know that when we are using more and more biogas blending with natural gas, आपका wastage solid management के साथ भी you can tie up, you can connect this particular news, because you have the solid management rules, solid waste management rules of 2016, and solid waste management is a major crisis in India, which is affecting not only the health but also the water, the air, and also the land fertility of our society. So solid waste management proper करके अगर आप बायोगैस प्रमोट कर रहे हो, okay, The plan for biogas, which follows a move to mix ethanol extracted from sugarcane with petrol and doping diesel with biodiesel extracted from non-edible oil. Alright, so these are new methods coming up. So definitely, अगर आपका कोई भी क्वेश्चन आते हैं on energy, on air pollution, on renewable energy sources, so definitely you should mention this kind of news where India is giving more importance and more focus as of now. And biofuels is really very important and it is the future. And we have also Jatrofa, which is also very important for biofuels. But again, there is a controversy or there is a dilemma that if you have to grow the Jatrofa in order to produce the biofuels, then you have to miss out some of the agricultural lands, and in place of doing the crop cultivation, if you have to produce Jatrofa there, so then there is a question mark on the food security issue of India. But again, we can produce biofuels from the wastages of the same crops, okay, and then we do not have to compromise with our food security. So there are three biofuels: ethanol, biodiesel and biogas extracted from biomass. Very important again from prelims perspective. And if you are able to exploit these three, we can reduce our dependence on import of crude to a large extent and import of gas also. Very positive point for India's economic perspective and also from environment perspective. He called for including appropriate technologies involving skilled and professional manpower and financial institutions to provide funding. The secretary sought the support from the state governments as the agricultural residues, because biomass में आपका जैसे मैंने आपको बोला wastages of agricultural residues and other waste, they might come from the municipal solid waste. See, I have already told you our solid waste management will be sorted after that, because अभी जो आपका garbage collection है वो जाके कहीं पे dump होता है. दिल्ली में अगर आप जाओगे, when you move from Noida to Delhi, वहां पे आपको एक बड़ा पहाड़ दिखेगा. That is not a natural mountain, that is a artificial one made up of dumping of solid waste. And वहां पे उससे जो chemicals निकलता है, leach होता है, that is directly going into the land, and through land it is going to the river water. और वही पानी आप पी रहे हो, हम और आप पी रहे हैं, और वही पानी it is getting getting polluted. It is making our soil fertility decrease, and it is also impacting our agriculture. So definitely solid waste management rules जो आया था 2016, this is also very important from exam perspective. And this will be sorted out if we produce this biomass. And this is a very positive outlook and positive development, and definitely India needs to work on this. And I think you have understood how we related so many things with this particular news. Or कुछ भी अगर is related relevant कुछ आएगा तो you can definitely highlight this kind of points as way forward and in the solutions. Biofuels will not only help cut import dependence but also ensure a cleaner environment, generate additional income for farmers and create jobs. Win-win situation again for India. Stakeholders, particularly farmers, need to be sensitized to the use of agri and other waste for the production of biofuel. So आप सोचिए जब दिल्ली में जो वेस्टेज, दिल्ली में जो हार्वेस्ट सीजन के बाद जब पॉल्यूशन होता है, so वहां पे केजरीवाल is always getting offended by other states like Haryana, UP, because वहां पे जो harvesting season के बाद when they are burning their wastages, all the residues are getting mixed with the air and it is coming in the form of pollution. Now those things, in place of burning, we can use it in the form of biomass to produce biofuels. Alright, so I hope you have understood this. The next important news that we have discussed about the MSME, which is the backbone of India's economy. Now we have the fund of funds for MSMEs to be operational soon, SBI chief. Alright, now because you know that we are now focusing on Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and we have a 20 lakh crore package from the center, and provide 50,000 crore equity support to stressed MSME units. A fund of funds was announced. So MSME sectors को liquidity maintain करने के लिए, investment मेंटेन करने के लिए, उनका प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए, एफिशिएंसी बढ़ाने के लिए, सप्लाई चेन को कैप्चर करने के लिए, एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए, और मोर एंड मोर एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट करने के लिए, मोर एंड मोर इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ प्रमोट करने के लिए, वी नीड कैपिटल. And this capital is being generated from the funds of funds, and SBI chief has made this statement that it will be very soon operational. The objective of the rupees 10,000 crore fund of funds scheme is to help MSMEs. So please see this very carefully, that what is this total amount? There is 10,000 crore fund of funds scheme. All right, and this has come amidst the COVID-19 because of loss of so many businesses and the lack of availability of liquidity in the market and among the hands of the entrepreneurs. So another liquidity enhancement measure was through support by way of subordinated debt. All right. So there are other methods also. Along with our finance minister in May had announced a fund of funds will help MSMEs will grow for good potential and viability even as they face severe shortage of equity. So I have already explained it to you these things. Okay, बस इसमें liquidity again इससे क्या होगा, capital आएगा तो again आपका positive cycle of economy will get started. Moreover, the fund will be operated through a mother fund and a few daughter funds to enable MSMEs expand in size and capacity. ठीक है, एक बड़ा फंड होगा जिसको हम नाम दे रहे हैं मदर फंड और उसके नीचे daughter fund. So in prelims this kind of statements can be asked that mother fund and daughter funds are being used for which of the following sectors: MSME, education, hospitals, or all of the above. Okay, so your answer will be MSME. So this is how you need to again predict some questions from exam perspective. All right, so this is what we had, all the important news. Now we have to discuss two important editorials. All right, now this is what we'll be discussing now. So you know that again this is the editorial which says that much needed boost, and this is again for GS3 economic development, but again you can relate with many other important parts of different of the syllabus of different papers from GS1 to 5. So here, while the industrial sector had suffered grievously during the prolonged lockdown imposed to combat the spread of COVID-19, right? Now you know that all our sectors have been facing a lot of challenges, right, from the agricultural sector to different sectors of industries. However, this did not mean that all had been well in this sector. All right, and certain core problems have remained unaddressed through over 7 decades have elapsed since independence, and we are basically talking about the agriculture sector. Now when we talk about agricultural sector, you know that now agriculture sector is having a very good growth rate of nearly around 4.5%, which was not the case 5-6 years back. And you know that our growth rate, which is around 4 point some percent, is almost similar to the agricultural growth rate. But when you talk about agricultural growth rate, again, then why there are so many farmer suicides, or why the farmers are still in a deep stress if the agriculture is actually growing at more than 4%? Because when you see that when we talk about agriculture, we are not talking only about the crop cultivation. Agriculture is also having the other allied sectors like horticulture, fisheries, and livestock. And you know that even from Assam perspective, if we talk, 84% of our farmers are marginal farmers who are small farmers. जिसके पास बहुत पैसा नहीं है, जिसके पास टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है, जिसके पास बहुत ज्यादा कैपिटल नहीं है, जिसके पास बहुत ज्यादा लैंड नहीं है, then even then how is the agriculture growing? Because agriculture का जो growth है वो आपका आ रहा है from the allied sector, from the sectors of fishery, or from the sector of horticulture, or from the sector of livestock. It is not coming from the sector of crop cultivation. And the irony of agriculture is that our majority of the farmers are in the crop cultivation sector. बहुत कम फार्मर्स है जो आपका एलाइड एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर को बिलोंग करते हैं. So the irony is that even the agriculture is growing at a good growth rate, maximum farmers are still struggling in order to reap the benefits of this growth. And that is why the much needed boost that is required is in the form of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, that is PM Kisan scheme, which has provided a direct cash benefit of rupees 75,000 crore to more than 9.9 crore farmers, being launched in the late as 2016. All right, so this is very very important because अभी हमें एग्रीकल्चर ग्रोथ रेट को और ऊपर लेके जाने के लिए हमारे जो फार्मर्स क्रॉप कल्टीवेशन करते हैं उनका भी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए उनको भी सपोर्ट देना बहुत जरूरी है. एंड that is what this is a much needed boost again at the time of COVID-19. This is definitely important. Two of the key lacuna in our rural areas had been the paucity of post harvest support. ये एक और एक problem है that
आप देखोगे कि मैक्सिमम फार्मर्स को जो सपोर्ट मिलता है वो प्री हार्वेस्ट, प्री लाइक व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू कल्टीवेट, यू गेट अ सपोर्ट एट दैट टाइम पीरियड, मैक्सिमम सपोर्ट in the form of loan, in the form of credit, in the form of input subsidies, in the form of fertilizer subsidies, or in the form of energy subsidies. But once you harvest, in the post harvest, the support is very less. All right, and also we do not have a proper logistics, बहुत wastage होता है, we do not have proper transportation facilities, and you know that the farmers are also being exploited by the mandi system under the APMC Act. So that is why, again, to boost up the liquidity among these farmers, this PM Kisan is a much needed boost, which the editorial is trying to discuss. The Green Revolution and adequate annual monsoon rains had ensured that India's agricultural production had continually increased. So you know that हमारे जो monsoon dependent agriculture है, because of the natural irrigation that we have, and also because of the Green Revolution, our agricultural production have continuously increased. Productivity loss being witnessed primarily in the post-harvest phase because of lack of storage, transport, and other facilities that I already told you. We have a very poor logistic facilities. And the new agricultural infrastructure fund the government is talking about, the duration of which will be 10 years till 2029, aims to provide a medium to long-term debt financing facility for investment in viable projects for post-harvest management. तो अगर कुछ भी अगर agricultural related questions आते हैं, so you should definitely write about that identity that I told you, along with the post-harvest management. इसमें भी जो support चाहिए. So these are the lacunas and the problems in the agricultural sector. Okay, in the logistics. Okay, in all these storage facilities, transport and facilities, and also community farming assets. All these things definitely needs to be looked after. And in this scheme, about rupees 1 lakh crore will be sanctioned under the financing in order to lend institutions so that agri credit societies, farmer groups, farmer producer organizations, agri entrepreneurs, startups, and agri tech players gets benefited. Alright, so this is again a very strong step forward, and this is two important things that we discussed today from post COVID-19, where we need to put more and more emphasis are the one is agriculture and the second one is the MSME sector. Alright, so definitely this will definitely create a very good content for you also to write in any type of questions if it is asked something relevant to these topics. Alright, so you can give a reading of this slide, and we are moving to the last important editorial of the news of 11th of August 2020, that is your Environment Impact Assessment 2020, a license for destruction of nature, again coming from GS3 Biodiversity and Environment, but also you can relate with GS1, that is your Indian society, along with ethical dilemmas, okay, along with governance perspective of GS2. So you see that a particular news, although we have mentioned it as GS3 here because directly it is relating with the biodiversity and environment which is there in GS3, but you can also relate with other topics of syllabus of other papers like GS1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is this environment impact assessment all about, and why this is in so much in news? So because environment impact assessment is a type of assessment which is required to be done before the creation of any new project. Okay, now अगर आपको अगर पता है लैंड एक्विजिशन रिहेबिलिटेशन एंड रीसेटलमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 2013, लार एक्ट ऑफ 2013, वहां पे भी वी टॉक्ड अबाउट सोशल इंपैक्ट असेसमेंट, because it's very important when we create new projects like a big dam or maybe a highway or maybe a communication project or maybe big industries. Now we need to see that what will be its consequences and impact on the society and along with the environment, because it is very important, because in today's world in 21st century when we are talking about climate change, when we are talking about sustainable development goals, we have to make sure that all our developments have to be sustainable in nature. And you know that recently in Kerala, a very big building was demolished because it has violated the coastal regulation zones, because it is very dangerous to build such kind of infrastructure in a very eco-sensitive zone. And if you are building up, if you are developing mining activities, if you are developing explorations in very eco-sensitive zones, trying to threaten the habitats of many different species, so it will ultimately take our earth to such a situation from where we will no longer be coming back. And you know that right now we are talking about the one very important thing, that is your sixth mass extinction. and I hope you know this because this is already in news, and even UPSC 2019 prelims had asked what is sixth mass extinction. And sixth mass extinction, because you know that the globe, the world goes through a mass extinction. All the previous mass extinction was natural, but the sixth mass extinction will be a man-made one, and this will be such a position that from where there will be no return and everything will be damaged. So definitely the environment impact assessment is necessary, and any rule or any changes or any amendment, if it is brought to make or to dilute the rules of environment impact assessment, that is not good for the biodiversity or for the environment or for the society, for the greater good in the future. So ये जो अभी amendments draft proposal जो लाया है उसमें बोला गया है कि there will be a post facto project clearance. This is very dangerous. For example, अगर आपने कोई इंडस्ट्री बैठा दिया within the vicinity of a national park, so that will be so dangerous to the national park that पहले क्या होता था, अगर आपके पास environmental impact assessment नहीं है, then that extremely sorry. Okay, so then your environmental clearance अगर आपके पास नहीं होता, so आपका प्रोजेक्ट को बंद करना पड़ेगा या फिर उसको डेमोलिश किया जाएगा. बट नाउ गवर्नमेंट हैज कम आउट अहेड विद अ पॉइंट ड्राफ्ट में, ड्राफ्ट प्रपोजल में, कि डेली पोस्ट फैक्टो प्रोजेक्ट क्लियरेंस, कि अगर किसी ने क्लियरेंस नहीं मिलने के बाद भी अगर प्रोजेक्ट डेवलप कर दिया था तो उनको पोस्ट फैक्टो क्लियरेंस दिया जाएगा. So this is a dilution, and the dilution and in some cases elimination of the process of public consultation. Now अगर कहीं पे कोई प्रोजेक्ट डेवलप कर रहे हो, at least you need to consult with the public of that particular area. Now earlier the time period for public consultation was big, but now it has been reduced. And आप सोचिए ऐसा मेजर प्रोजेक्ट जो गांव में होता है, अभी तक बहुत सारी जगह पे तो लोगों को कोविड क्या चीज है वही पता नहीं चला. Now how do you expect that the people who are not having the awareness will be able to conduct this public consultation and throw up a letter to the administration within a time period of 30 days? And there will be also recategorization of projects so as to exempt a wide range of projects from the scrutiny of appraisal committees. On the name of what? On the name of security, on the name of defense, on the name of geopolitical strategic locations. So public consultation, whatever it is very, very important, and there should be no dilution. Alright, so all the benefits of projects to various clauses, this should be discussed. Right, so all the projects need to go through the EIA process for obtaining prior environmental clearance. Projects running without EIA clearance are not hard to find. ऐसा चल ही रहा है. And the biggest example that we have seen right now, okay, the blowout and consequent income at the Bagjan oil well in Tinsukia district, and the catastrophe that followed have been a classic example where due to poor adherence of environment norms, severe damage has been caused to livelihoods, biodiversity and environment as a whole. So you see, because वहाँ पे environment clearance के हिसाब से जितना प्रोडक्शन होना चाहिए था उससे बहुत ज्यादा लेवल, ओके, उससे बहुत एक्सेस में environment clearance ना मिलने के बाद भी उसका प्रोडक्शन हो रहा था, and we have seen the consequences now. And the new draft in a way legitimizes such violation. ऐसे अगर violation आप अगर करोगे उसको legitimate कर देता है new draft, providing a window to get clearance by adding punitive clauses which itself have no mechanisms to monitor. Are you getting it? Moreover, issuing guidelines for assessment of ecological damage under EIA 2020, draft has been entrusted to Central Pollution Core Board solely, leaving out wildlife institutes, environment organizations and other civil society groups. तो ये जो अभी ड्राफ्ट इकोलॉजिकल डैमेज गाइडलाइंस जो असेसमेंट के लिए जाएगा, सो इसको सिर्फ एंट्रेंसमेंट सीपीसीबी बोर्ड को सिर्फ दिया गया है, बाकी वाइल्ड लाइफ इंस्टीट्यूट्स और अदर सिविल सोसाइटी एनवायरमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को यहाँ पे इंक्लूड नहीं किया. दिस इज अगेन मीन्स व्हाट, दैट दे आर ट्राइंग टू मेक इट एज इजी एज पॉसिबल फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट्स टू बी concluded, and this present government believes that it is not important to protect the environment. Now this is what this environment impact assessment draft is asking us to believe like that, even if they are not believing like this, but it forces us to believe in this manner that this present government wants to build up only industries and tries to focus more and more on the capitalistic side rather than giving more importance on the environment or on the sustainable development. And the ecological damage is about ecology and not limited to pollution only. Ecological damage can also result in reduction in number of species, as I already told you. and we have already discussed about the sixth mass extinction. तो species का extinction हो ही रहा है. We know that there is a red list under the IUCN, and we know that how many species are under threat or are already extinct, and this is this environment, this draft proposal, or if it becomes a amendment, this will like act as a catalyst, all right, in making lot of species extinct and making the sixth mass extinction come in a faster manner, which will act as a catalyst. So regarding the post facto legalization of violations by projects, clause 22 of the draft says the cases of violation will be appraised by appraisal committee with a view to assess that a project has been constructed or carried at a site which under prevailing laws is permissible, or expansion has been done, which can be run sustainably under compliance of environmental norms with adequate environmental safeguards in case of finding of the appraisal committee. So there will be an appraisal committee. It's very simple to say that they will look after the norms and adequate environmental safeguards will be done. But in the long run, even after when environment impact assessment was there, even after that there were so many illegal constructions happening, ignoring the environmental clearance. But do you think that after doing this, will this be a proper mechanism, or will there be any efficacy rate in order to maintain the check and balance? So as post facto approval would be done in case of project can be run sustainably, and no definition of sustainability has been provided. So what is sustainability? We do not know. It could be fairly concluded that a project may run sustainably but still cause environmental damage, and this will be visible in front of us after maybe 40 years or 50 years, and we'll see the damage that it has been already created, and there will be no return point after that. And in a way, projects will be allowed to continue even if they have not obtained environment clearance. So this is the most dangerous aspect of the present environmental impact assessment का जो draft proposal लाया है सरकार ने. So a humble request, you all should, in fact the student community have taken a great initiative, and we should all write, there is an email ID, we should all write to that email ID that we do not welcome this step, and this amendment fundamentally defeats the purpose of environmental clearance. Alright. The Supreme Court in April 2020 rule said ex post facto clearance is in derogation of fundamental principles of environmental jurisprudence. So Supreme Court ने भी इसके खिलाफ बोला है. Alright. And what about our Article 21, right to life with dignity? Now, dignified life also means that we have a proper environment to live. Our fundamental right is getting violated in one sense, and we can directly go to Supreme Court filing a PIL against this act or this draft. Alright, so in other words, these clauses give license for violators who would be condoned by paying a fine, so that एक बस थोड़ा सा fine देके आप इसको फिर से continue कर पाओगे, and this is not good for the future generation. And this is happening, as you can see, the illegal coal mining case in Saleki inside the Dihing Patkai Elephant Reserve. So this is a very dangerous situation, and this is a very dangerous step that the government has taken forward, and we all should definitely join hands in order to oppose this. Alright. So thus it is nothing but post facto legalization of all the illegal acts committed by project promoters. Okay, so this is what has been done, and there is also one clause that there is no extremely vague definition of strategic projects. अगर कोई strategic project उनको tag लगा देगा कोई project को, now we do not even need to do the environment impact assessment. Alright, now this can be defense or security projects, maybe in the border of Arunachal Pradesh. Alright, now this is required, this is definitely required, but again environment assessment करना जरूरी है. Okay, there is nothing lost. Okay, if we do an environment impact assessment, and if we take the environment into consideration, we can also build up sustainable projects, and this is what should be the way forward, definitely. Okay, in industries such as power generation or linear projects such as roads and pipelines may be termed strategic. ठीक है, ऐसा भी एक strategic बोल देंगे, and we may be exempted from environmental regulation. So this is definitely going to be a very dangerous situation, and the case becomes more complicated जब वो North East के बारे में आता है, because the entire location of North East can be declared as strategic because it is having a very strategic border with China, Myanmar, Bhutan, Bangladesh, right? And all our tropical rainforest can be cut down, all our forest areas can be cut down, and this can definitely create a huge environmental challenge for the region and also for the entire world. So with the border area defined in the EIA draft as an area falling within 100 kilometers aerial distance from the line of actual control, a bigger threat now looms large on the region's forest. Okay, because जो चाइना का border line of actual control से जो 100 किलोमीटर inside है, वहाँ पे बहुत सारे क्या है आपका wildlife habitats, large scale endemism and famed biodiversity is there, because you know it is a part of the Himalayan biodiversity and it is a part of the hotspot biodiversity region. And India being a signatory of 1992 Rio Declaration of Environment Development, public hearing was included in the EIA process. तो हम लोग 1992 का जो Rio development था, okay, Rio is a part of Brazil and this is very very important. Rio का 20 साल भी हो चुका है, ठीक है, 2012 में, and Rio plus 20 is also there and it was asked in UPSC prelims in 2017 prelims. And this is definitely, since India is also a signatory to this, we definitely need to look after the EIA process, environment impact assessment. We cannot take it for granted just on the name of strategic or defense or any other infrastructure. Alright, so definitely these points have to be looked after. And now the draft seeks to scrap this provision, which would mean backtracking on our international climate commitments. That means what? और हमारे जो international commitments है उसमें भी हम backtrack कर रहे हैं, because we had already signed this. And clause 26 of the new draft seeks recategorization of those projects for which prior environmental clearance is not required. So that means it is completely diluting the entire thing, okay? And ये सारे list में आपका thermal power projects, solar parks, coal, non-coal, mineral, everything is included, even river valley projects, and this can actually create a huge negative impact on the environment. And also बहुत सारे mining sectors commercial interest के लिए open up कर दिया गया by open cast mining being the major method of mining approved by the government. It is feared that the new draft would provide for a new lease of destruction of air, water and land around the open cast mining site. So this is going to be a very dangerous situation, and that is why we all need to write against this. And in the best interest of the environment, people and country, this draft notification should be withdrawn and may be redrafted, taking the opinion of all the stakeholders. Alright, so this is what we have from 11th of August 2020. I hope you liked it. We have tried to discuss a lot of important news in great details, and do connect us if you want to join any of our subscribed classes. We are also very soon starting with our offline classes as soon as the government issues a notification to open up all the private institutions. And if you have any doubt, do write to us in the WhatsApp numbers, or you can also call us or connect to us as you want. We'll be happy to help you out with all your queries. If you like this initiative, do like the video, share with your friends, those who are preparing for this exam, and do subscribe our YouTube channel to get all the further notifications. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.